Hey, this one might be short today. I don't really know for sure. You never know. I start rambling and stuff, and I don't know what I think is going to be short winds up taking a long time, but who knows? Either way, I'm Michael Thomas. Thank you all for coming back. Thank you all for listening, downloading, telling 50 friends or however many friends to tell their friends. Email me at michael@datingwhileadulting.com, or you can just email, like the intro said, podcast at datingwhileadulting.com. But yeah, to make sure things get to me directly and quickly, Michael at datingwhileadulting.com. And so I started off by saying that this one might be a short one. And just to let you know that I think I'm going to start doing these more frequently, putting out episodes more often. I remember at our peak, we were doing like two a week, and then it dropped down to once a week. And now I'm on a schedule of like once every other week. But I think I'm going to start getting back to maybe not twice a week, but who knows? Either way, it's going to be more frequent than once every other week or so. So, it is what it is. And, people have like said something about that. And as a man of the people, like I am, I aim to please. So look forward to that. Now, with all of that housekeeping stuff out of the way, I want to talk about Rachel Dollard today. Rachel's in jail. Rachel has been charged with second-degree murder. Rachel has been charged with killing her boyfriend. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, I don't actually know what you're thinking, but I can pretty much guess what you're thinking based on what I just said. And considering the focus of this podcast, you might think that Rachel killed her boyfriend because he was beating the shit out of her or something like that. Or you might think that she killed him because she caught him cheating or something like that. But actually, Rachel killed her boyfriend, Joshua Brown is his name. She killed him in an act of what I'll just call love. Let's just call it that for now. But not that kind of love. So get your minds out of the gutter, you freaks, you perverts. I'm not mad at you though, because. See, Joshua, he was an inmate at a Tennessee prison, and he was serving 11 years on some kind of drug related charges. And Rachel, being a ride or die, literally in this case, stood by her man, which is commendable or not. And but as we all would hope that our significant others would do if we were in prison, she went to visit him in said prison while he was doing his time, his 11 years. And like she always do when she went to visit Joshua, she sit there and talk to him. And at the end of the visit, she kiss him goodbye and be on her way. So on what wound up being Rachel's last visit to Joshua, they went about that same routine. She left thinking that everything was normal, nothing to think about anything. And then next thing you know, the cops showed up at her door a few days later. See, Joshua died after Rachel left the prison. Actually, Joshua died of a drug overdose. See, here's the thing. When Rachel would kiss Joshua goodbye when she was making her visits to him, that kiss would involve her passing meth to him, which he then would swallow and then go to the bathroom after a while and basically pass it into the toilet. I'm sure any of you that have watched prison movies, or some of you might be involved in some behavior like that, you kind of seen it before. You swallow the drugs and then you shit them out and all that stuff, and then you sell them or take them or do whatever you're gonna do. But that was their method. That's what they did. But this particular time, because what Rachel would do is Rachel would pack the meth into these balloons and pass him the balloon, and he would swallow the balloon. This particular time, for whatever reason, faulty balloon, maybe he had some rough stuff going on his insides, who knows? But this particular time, the balloon that was being used to pass it, it burst in Joshua's stomach. So instead of getting just a balloon that goes right through his body and into the toilet, Joshua got a whole bunch of crystal meth. And as such, um, he dies of a drug overdose, technically. And she takes the L for killing him, technically. Now, most of the people, if not all the people listening to this podcast, aren't passing drugs to their significant others in prison. And if you are passing drugs to your significant other in prison, email me again at michael@datingwhileadulting.com because I like to talk to you about that. Some kind of way, we'll make an episode about that and find some way to pull love out of that because love, relationships, dating is in some kind of way related in every situation that we're in. So, yeah, hit me up. But yeah, but the point I'm making is this this does speak to how many of us give like more of ourselves to than what should be required. So like I said, nobody's like, well, most people listening to this aren't passing drugs to their significant others, but yeah, you know, that's an extreme. But way too many of us are doing more than we should be doing for the people that we claim to love and the people that claim to love us. I often talk about how your partner should be a safe space, your soft place to land and all that stuff. Being in a relationship should not feel like a job. And if someone truly loves you, they should be looking to lighten your load and not add to the pile of life that already has stacked on your back. And that applies to both men and women, just so you know. I'm not picking on one gender. And if Joshua really loved Rachel, he wouldn't have asked her to smuggle meth into prison. He wouldn't have asked her to smuggle meth into prison for him. And if Rachel really loved herself, because this is what a lot of this stuff gets to, self-love. If Rachel had really loved herself, she would have realized that smuggling meth into him, into the prison to give to him, wasn't really an act of love. Now, with that said, I don't want to come across as too judgy because I already have come across as too judgy. Desperate times call for desperate measures. And thank God, I've never had to do an 11-year stretch in prison like Joshua. But I'm saying that when you look at the results of this quote act of love, Joshua's now dead and Rachel's likely headed to prison for a long time. It's like we've all heard the expression love hurts, but boy, love shouldn't hurt like this. Whew. You shouldn't die because of it, and you shouldn't be going to jail because of it either. But it speaks to how you can't be blinded by love, and how even though you are one as a couple and all that stuff, there still needs to be a bit of selfishness that will allow you to assess things practically, if not objectively, or both, and not through the lens of just love, quote unquote. I think it's fair that when asked to do something or a series of things by your significant other, you should have the right to assess why they're asking you to do whatever that thing is or series of things are, or to assess what you're getting in return, or both, actually. Yeah. And when I say assess what you're getting in return, I don't mean that like in a one-to-one type of way. It's like you do this, so I do that. Nah, not that stuff, not that way. But you should be getting as much as you receive in some form or another. Like, like what was Rachel getting for smuggling meth to Joshua? Now, I understand that he faced some limitations as to what he could give, but that's why I talk about lightening someone's load. It's like if Joshua couldn't do for Rachel because of his limitations, he should have thought to himself, self, I can't do for her. So maybe I shouldn't burden her by making her smuggle meth to me. Makes sense to me. I don't believe that a person should ask for more than they want, you know, or can give. Yeah. I don't believe that a person should do more than what's being done for them. And I don't understand these things. And I do understand how these things ebb and flow. And I understand that Joshua might do more while she's I understand that one person might be doing more for the other while the one person's down, or vice versa. Like Joshua was definitely down, so he couldn't do as much, like I said earlier. And maybe in some part of the relationship, Rachel was down and Joshua picked up the slack. Maybe. But if you're in a position where you're not able to do, you do what you can, or you don't ask as much. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the movie Baby Boy, when poor Taraji P. Henson was working and raising their kid, while Tyrese was just taking a car and hustling all day. And not good hustling where he was bringing home money, just hustling just to be hustling. He couldn't even pick her up from work on time. And while people pointed to Tyrese as being a bad person in all of this, both of them had fault in the whole thing. You know, Hmm. His fault was for asking for more than he could give, and hers was giving more than she was getting. So enough fault to be had. And it's Rachel's fault for thinking that she was doing something out of love when there wasn't really any love involved in that. It's time to stop pointing fingers at the opposite genders. It's time to start pointing fingers at ourselves, man. Life, man, I tell you what, it'll kill you. Well, it killed Joshua, and there's no telling what is gonna happen to Rachel. But I would say I'll keep you posted. But the minute this thing goes up online, I'll forget all about this. I don't care about them enough. Let me close by doing this. Now, normally I close these episodes by talking about somebody that has died, or somebody who's getting a divorce after a long period of time. I don't want to do that today. I want to talk about another thing that I talk about from time to time, which is, I hadn't done it in a while, and people get on me for it, but I can't let it pass because I really do care about people in this age demographic. And it's health. Every now and then I lecture you about health and about going to see the doctor and all of that stuff. But I don't want to lecture anybody today. I want to give a shout out to someone today for actually doing that. Not someone that I know, but someone that I read about. And that is Sheryl Underwood. For people that don't know, Sheryl Underwood is a comedian on a show called The Talk. And I'm guessing that that's like a bootleg version of The View. And for all of you that are listening overseas and you're not familiar with either of these shows, let me just let you know that you're not missing out on anything. It is what it is. Both shows are trash, but God bless them. They're getting paid, whatever. Do what you do. But I'm shouting out Sheryl. Sheryl's 58 years old. And I'm shouting her out because she lost 90 pounds over the course of a year and a half. And this isn't about aesthetics, because I don't like talk about aesthetics when I'm talking about health and all that stuff. And I don't applaud people for losing weight unless there is a health benefit to it. And in this case, there was a health benefit to it. And honestly, for a lot of people that need to lose 90 pounds, losing 90 pounds in and of itself will be a health benefit. But in an interview, she was talking about how she was struggling with diabetes, hypertension, all of the things that plague people that are overweight by that amount. So now, again, I'm always beating the drum about health and all of this stuff, and stay on top of your health and all of that stuff, and go see the doctor. But it's nice to see people actually doing it in this particular demographic, and not just accepting that these things happen to you when you get old. So you just got to sit down and wait to die. Nah, people, go see the doctor, eat better, get some exercise, and just do what you should be doing. That's it for me. I told you it'd be short. I tried to keep it short. If it wasn't short enough, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. You have a choice whether to listen or not. And I appreciate you listening. I hope you come back and listen again. I appreciate it. Reggie appreciates it. Speaking of which, Reggie, come and talk to these people. Tell them goodbye. Reggie doesn't have anything to say, as usual. So with that said, I will say goodbye to you all. And until next time, which won't be 2 weeks from now, goodbye.